hypocrites and won't work together, we fragment and the children are not getting all the resources that they need. So we got to practice what we preach. And we must work together. So what we do is we motivate. We come out, call everybody out, come to a meeting, man, blah, blah, blah. What you doing? What you supposed to be doing over here? So everybody's exposed to what they're supposed to do. And because we got a reputation of doing a high level of work, our level is up here on the scale of 1 to 10. So if people beside us, they know they at least want to come up here. You see what I'm saying? We don't expect everybody to be committed as we are, but we expect you at least do what you're supposed to do. And what happens is either it's going to show the people who are not doing what they're supposed to do, or they're going to step to the plate. That's important. You got to have people working together. Make sure the government entities understand the importance of grassroots to nurture the relationship and ensure they get the service the government has to offer. Make sure that the community get the services that the government has to offer. A lot of times we can be brokers for the things that the people are missing in their community. Projects such as beautification and youth engagement motivate youth and families to take pride, appreciate, and ownership of their community. Educate parents and guardians are their responsibilities toward their own children without appearing that you are talking down on them. A lot of times when you talk to people, you unconsciously talk down on them and they just spit a wall up. Okay, and then the other thing I want to say, over the last 20 years, babies having babies. We always assume that parents know how to be parents. If they were 15-year-old when they had a baby, and the woman before that was 15-year-old, they need to be taught how to have children. Rejuvenate residential and councils and civic associations. A lot of them are not active. Go ahead, we got to hear you. VIP. The VIP is an initiative that we had where the police are involved, but they know our perspective is helping children. So what they do is they refer children to us who they say, look, get them before we get them. And we go try to reach them and help them. So they know we're not into telling, we into helping. And that's important because we got to keep our relationship with our community. The moment it seems like we tell them, we free. We can't be effective as we are. They got a job to do. The last thing I'm going to say is we got to go through. We're doing a couple things like Peaceoholics. A lot of people say go-go's are violent. We've done 8 of them in the last 3 months and haven't had one fight. The children go through a training. They learn about their history. They learn about the civil rights movement and all these things. And we shame them not to do the things that they're doing. You see what I'm saying? When they learn about the things that the children in the segregation in the 60s and things like this, these are the things that empower our children to do the right things. But because they're not getting their history and a proper education, they're not responsive to none of this stuff. Youth who are trained to be intervention specialists, and they know about their history and things like that, you can shame them on doing what's wrong. Because people die for them to get an education. No calls, no answers. Your personal life is your public life. That's why you must practice what you preach. Tough love is needed, but you can only be used when positive relationship has been built. Use positive gestures and rewards when you see small levels of progress. Children are often rewarded for doing negative behavior. So we got to find ways to empower them and show them that you get benefits for doing what's right. Because most of them think that they get benefits for doing what's wrong. So that's very key. The little small things they do right, you must give them rewards for it. Use media and entertainment to show benefits of doing what's right. You'll see a lot of children that we work with do interviews. They're on the news all the time. We push our children to be exposed to this stuff because we know that you got to make it cool not to be a fool. See, they think there's something wrong with getting on the camera doing something right. Oh, that's how is that happen? When you get on the camera, you showcasing your skills and what you can really be, and that you're not an animal like people portray you in the media. That's important. So we must push them to understand that you must be exposed for doing what's right. So I think that's it. I get it right. It's using the logo to do a mediation.
Y'all look at the news. The burn rate has lowered. It went down in the city.
This Big G for the Wide, this is somebody we worked with for 7 years. We get inspired to help get him on the Wide. And he was a wild cat at one time. You know, he talked about killing the police on the road at one time. But he changed his life around. And he's a bird. He's on HBO on the Wide and everything. He works with us.
Send the government out with a young gang task force. It's the police. When y'all take the pictures and all that, they grab the pictures and they see who get locked up in a home jail, or over the juvenile block, or the DC jail. Now, for real, it ain't no joke. And what they doing is they patching all the faces up, and whoever get locked up for a violent crime over 2 times, sometimes right now they only gonna do it once. And if you get caught up with 5 or more people in a gang, they giving everybody 20 to life. Straight off the break. Now, hold up. Okay, you think I'm playing? Okay, now, listen for real. The person next to you, do you think they gonna be your friend for the next 20 years and see you running to jail? Okay, hold up. Reality check. Hold on. Reality check. Hold on. Listen. Calm down. Listen. We don't need no that beefing amongst each other. Okay, the Peaceoholics do too much for the city for us to be hurting each other. I know this, mother. Hold up. Alright, this mob right here. Hold on. Chopper City. Okay, look, listen. This is what I want to do right now. We trying to resolve something real quick, and I want to put it down. I want the men that got a problem. But let me get somebody up here, a leader from Les Mob. Les Mob, come on. Let me get somebody from Chopper City. Let me get 2 people from Chopper City, real quick. Come on, we ain't got all night. Y'all love to do Chopper City. This is what I'm saying right here. Hold on. Everybody calm down. This is very serious right here. And y'all think it's a joke, y'all can laugh all you want, but them laughs turn into cries and them damn rest in peace t-shirts. I'm tired of seeing that bullshit, man. For real. So we gonna nip this in the bud right now. Okay? This is what I'm saying. This Chopper City right here, right? And this Les Mob. Okay? It ain't nothing cute about this situation that's going on, man. Y'all need to stop trying to hurt each other, man. And we need to resolve this right here. And we need to say it's a wrap because they're trying to lock y'all ass up. That's your kid? Well, bro, you want to be out here to show him what he got to do, right? That's right. He look up to you, right? That's what it is, right? So, this is what it is. Lean your head up a little bit. This is what I'm saying. You from Les Mob, you from Chopper City. Can we let this beef shit go? Can we stop it? Can y'all shake each other hand? It's all good. Can you shake his hand? Hey, we serious about this, right? I want y'all to look at each other as men and say, man, it's a wrap. And the Peaceoholics, only Peaceoholics can bring that to y'all right here, man. This love, we ain't got no beef in the city, man. We need to hug each other, love each other, man.
That's it. They say like go-go's, people say it's violent, but you take what people say are the problem and make it a solution. That's being creative. Thank you.
It's 4 o'clock, so I want to be sensitive to people's time, but I'm kind of overwhelmed about how this day turned out, because when you do things like this, you're not really sure how it's going to go, and we've never worked with these folks before, and I'm really touched about the information that it gave us and the work that they all do to keep our kids safe. I make a promise to you as a staff that this won't be the last time that you'll see these 3 faces. Because I know it is 4 o'clock. I know there's questions, but again, I want to be sensitive to time. I think I'd be a fool to try to summarize what was said today, But what I came up with was that before kids can learn, they must heal, and before they can heal, they must be loved. And I think that's what we try to do every day. You guys are amazing at it. I think with help from people like this, we can get better. You know, it's a long road to go, but things like this are a start, and that's okay. We have some certificates of appreciation for you folks, so if you could just come up here and join me real quick, I'd appreciate it. The first one is for Mr. Cardona, and they all say the same thing, so I'll just read the first one. The Ridge School of Montgomery County is pleased to present this certificate of appreciation and recognition to Luis Cardona for his willingness to share his time, talents, and knowledge with our staff. There's only one path by which the world can be made whole. That is the path of peace. Peace within our homes, peace within our communities, and on our streets. If our youth are to one day enjoy the world we have left, they must first find peace within themselves. So, thank you. Jamie, thank you.
Abraham, the brother who I started the organization with, and a lot of people don't know, but me and him were enemies at one time. There was an elder who brought us together. He told us, apart we can't accomplish nothing, but all the power that we had coming together, we can do many things. And right now, we have, this year we'll be going to a budget over $1 million. And this is only our 3rd year in operation as a nonprofit. That's unheard of.
A lot of powerful minds in this room. So I think if we come together, we can harness our problem at the Rig School and get on the task of educating our kids. So a few housekeeping things. TAs, Chester will clock you out, so you don't have to worry about that. And a final special thank you to Duran and Sarah and Dan for really kind of making this day really come together so smoothly. It was pretty easy when we kind of reflect on it. This day came together quickly, but it really went without a hitch. I just wish we had an extra half hour.
You know, I just wanted to say to all of you, one of the things that I've learned, and my mentors and elders have always taught me, you know, you can't do anything to take care of anyone else. You even take care of yourself first. You know, and the work that we do is a part of our healing process. You know, after 20-something years of self-destruction, so every day, you know, this work is my own healing process, but you need to make sure at the same time you set aside your time for yourself and be with your family and loved ones, because you know this work sucks you up. You know, it breaks your spirit. You know, I'm not a very religious man, but I'm very spiritual. You know, I go into the sweat lodge. I do ceremony. I participate in traditions that are part of, you know, where I come from, where my ancestors come from. And so I encourage all of you to do that in your own way, whatever way you do it. You know, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes of meditation, when you feel like you're getting nowhere with an individual, you know, I always encourage you. First, take care of your own stuff, because I know a lot of times many of us get into this work with a lot of baggage and not even resolving a lot of our own stuff. And so when we see this stuff manifest itself in the individuals that we work with, you know, it opens those wounds all over again, and we need to figure out how to deal with that. You know, I'm telling you, I see it all the time. These are all realities we deal with, so I just want to leave you with that.
Another young guy we mentored, you all probably seen him on the news, in the newspaper. He's a young brother from Baloo, graduated, was raising his son by himself. Daughter by himself. And he's learning from us to do what we do. So that's what we have to do. And also Rudy, my assistant, who worked real hard, put the presentation together, and takes all my tough love I give to him too. I'm a tough guy to work with sometimes. And he's also DJ Flavor on 93 WKYS. Thank you.
If anybody has any specific questions, they'll be hanging around for a few minutes. I do regret that we ran out of time, but that's the way things go sometimes. So thank you for your attention and your time, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
I kind of wasn't going the conventional way, but it was my way. I don't know. That's what parenting has a lot to do with that. And we're going to talk about gangs and things of that sort. But I'm going to go off on tangents from time to time, so just forgive me. Go ahead with this. First question was, what is a gang? Our definition, most law enforcement in the United States of America, they're going to have a definition similar to this. A couple words may be changed, the same thing. Okay. The definition of gang, any formal or informal ongoing organization or group, 3 or more persons having a common name, symbol, colors, design, whatever, associate individuals collectively engaged in criminal activity. That's our definition. That's what we go by. We don't go by wannabe. We don't go by anything else. If you're with a gang and you commit a crime, or you or 3 more people identified or collectively together for symbolizing maybe a neighborhood, colors that you wear, name, insignias, and you go out to commit crimes, we're going to consider you a gang. It's going to be that simple. Why are we concerned? What's it doing to our children? You know, personally, I believe what we have is not a gang problem. What we have today is called an attitude problem. A lot of our kids now who are not gang members, like he says, they're active gang members. There's guys who want to be around gang members. But the one thing, a child who's been brought up in a home or a situation where it's been terrible, say Mr. Mendoza right here, he's a leader. All of a sudden you have a child who happens to be a born leader, had a bad background or a terrible household. All of a sudden he's attracted to other people or other kids. And all of a sudden, even though those kids did not live like him, was brought up like him, he has influence on them. And sometimes we're getting caught up in that, and we get into the media and stuff also. Gang members enforce deviant behavior, we all know that. We'll try to go through kind of quickly if we get to some questions and stuff like that. While we're looking at gangs, because studies consistently prove that gang members are far more involved in delinquency. Well, if you're a gang member, as far as Montgomery County Police is concerned, you're committing crime. So obviously you're going to be delinquent behavior. We don't expect you to be going to Sunday school and choir practice, be on church on Sunday. We don't expect you Friday night to be in Bible study. You're just going to the movies and having a good time. We consider something else may go on. And with the attitude that goes along with it, there's sometimes a problem. Typically, gang philosophy, tattoos, the graffiti, we all seen that, we all know about that. Go ahead, the language and the writings, dress and colors. They like to signify with certain colors. Some want to wear blue, some want to wear black, some have to wear red. You know, if you're a Crip, there's no way you're going to wear red. If you're a Blood, there's no way you're going to be wearing blue. You're not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. Okay, I don't care if your mama buy you the prettiest red outfit in the world. If you're a Crip, you're not going to wear no parts of that outfit. The tattoos, if you like area codes, be from where you live at. Area codes, street numbers. You might live on the 3400 block or the 18th Street. You may have tattoos about that. That's how you can identify yourself. Keep going. Legal local, my crazy life. What you doing on this? What you say? You know that, right? So you know. Keep going. There's different ones in every nationality going to have. There's going to be Vietnamese, there could be Hispanic, there may be black, there could be Korean, there could be Asian. This guy, he's not hiding anything. MS-13, please pull him over. I'm sorry, what you got? I mean, he didn't tell me that a gang member, but should I believe him? Okay, I ain't committed no crimes, but should we believe him? No. Okay, he's telling us who he is. Now, whatever he tells us afterwards doesn't really matter, because we're going to just go ahead, you're a gang member. I don't care if you're giving out cookies on the side of the road. If you write MS-13, I'm going to say, you're a gang member. Okay. Go ahead. Keep going, just more tattoos. Got 3 dots, that's, what's that, kills on Go ahead. Just more tattoos. as stupid as stupid does, and he probably is. But a lot of times these tattoos mean something to these folks individually. It's not just a pretty picture. It can mean something very significant. It could be pride, it could be something about their country. There's different messages that are inside, and these guys take this very, very seriously. You know, this is intricate work done over on my man on the left here. This guy's probably okay? But this guy over here might take this very, very seriously. And it means something. It might mean more than just a dragon or something like that. But Vietnamese pride, it means something. What? They're locked up and they still want to signify that you're going to give her a gang sign, even though she's locked up and sitting next to the table. Some brothers here, they just flashing signs. Go ahead. This guy got tattoos all over his body, so he probably can't get a job in Walmart. But he probably got this done in prison. So in prison, he can do it all day long. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. Different signs. Bloods, Crips, Asians, doesn't matter. There's white Crips. You can go up to Canada and there's white Crips. And they do everything that the black Crips in Los Angeles do. They go by the same, they have the same words, the same signs. And they don't have a black person within 20 miles of their group. Okay? But they identify with the Crips. What? Tagging, graffiti, which says basically when you see tagging around here and stuff like that, just basically means to let you know there's a gang member in your area. It might be marking territory. But basically if you see MS-13 on a trash can or something like that, probably there's MS-13 in your area. Now it might be some kid who's not MS-13 writing it. But most likely, there's somebody that MS-13 wants to be MS-13. And then sometimes there's other messages, depends where you live and what part of town you live, that it can have other things. It can mean they can do a hit on somebody. It might be somebody distant or whatever. There could be a certain message from one group talking to another group or internally talking to each other. We're talking about Montgomery County here, rest in peace, Montgomery County. They name themselves off. We love that when they get their name. We love that DCP, GMC, and they got the names of the people living in the gang, and that works out good for us for intelligence purposes later on, you know, and it works well in court too. You know, your name is, you know, Bum Rush, and all of a sudden you go by Bum Rush and you see Bum Rush on the wall, or you left Bum Rush, you know, you're informed and somebody tells you Bum Rush did it, well that'll work good in court. We may not know his real name, we'll know it sooner or later, but we'll go by Bum Rush and get him convicted quickly. Okay. Go ahead. Just more signs, different groups, different meanings. Gang writings, everything starts off really nice, life, understanding, love, loyalty, and knowledge, and then they'll sell, they'll kill, kidnap, and things of that sort, and assault, whatever. They're doing bad things, criminal behavior, even though it has something really nice in the beginning. It's just not, this is not just Hispanics or blacks, but you look at the Ku Klux Klan, you look at their nice symbol, boy, God, Christian, Jesus, great miracle. And they'll go out and hang brothers do their day and night. Go ahead. Just the way they write the words. Next brother. The Crips have certain writings, like if you're a blood and you're not gonna use C in any of the words, you're gonna change it over to B's and vice versa. If you're a Crip, you don't want to use anything with a B in it. You're going to switch it over to C. You know, it works for them. It really does. It really does work for them. Go ahead. Now statistics. They said there's 21,500 different gangs. Okay, those gangs will be from anywhere from 4 to 500. Members 730,000 different gangs. Now, all these gang members, all these members active, no. But if you have a gang of like Crips in Los Angeles or MS-13 in LA, then you may have, at one time, you may have 25, 30, 40,000 active working gang members, actually working. Okay, their group might consist of over 100,000 or 200,000, but you got 40 of them causing havoc, 40,000 causing havoc. In the prison, outside the prison, and even in this area where we're at. If you got a group of 4 or 5 kids who belong to a crew, we call them crews out here. Well, one of them's doing something. They're all not honor roll students. Listen to their mom and dad. Somebody's shoplifting. Somebody's stealing a car. Somebody's selling some dope. Somebody's assaulting somebody. I mean, that's just the way it is. Or they wouldn't be calling themselves and having this group of gangs. They're just not out there selling cookies. Somebody's doing something. You may have one guy who's very active, you may have a guy, a good guy, he may not do anything much. You know, he might just write a little graffiti or something like that. You know, but he's not up to maybe carjacking or selling dope. Maybe his parents have a little more control of him. Maybe don't really have the heart for that. Maybe, you know, he's just not that. Montgomery County, we have 20 to 22 active gangs. That can change from 17 to 28 within a year. So some of these guys are together for a little while, and all of a sudden you lock up one of them, all of a sudden, boom, you take out the leader, where the rest of them? A lot of them just go back to school. You know what I mean? Come out. Otherwise, but you know, other times you might not get arrested. They just might be increasing. But it might be 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 guys in the group. 500, they say 540 to 560 members. I think the largest ones in this group they're talking about the Hispanic groups are probably the largest gangs out here. However, I don't get too caught up, like I said, in gangs because I don't go to Clarksburg often, but I go to Jessup quite a bit. And when I went to the youth facility at Jessup, out of 100 juvenile offenders, 97 were black. And they weren't all gang members. They doing something, but they were not affiliated with the Black Gangster Disciples or the Bloods of the Crips, even though they're there. They were there just because they sold drugs. Or got caught, shot, whatever they did, selling drugs, robbing somebody, killing somebody, but they weren't affiliated with the gang. Now some of them join the gang once they get into jail. That's another problem. We want to talk about that right now. Go ahead. We should be shown about the gangs. How the gangs, I don't even have this year's statistics, but you can bet the numbers are increasing, and they're increasing more and more. Go ahead. Break down by color: national, Asians, 10% white, 34 black, 49 Hispanic. This number's growing. This number's growing. I don't know what unknown is. They're probably still unknown. Going. Females, males. The female one is growing, you know, and you can see the how the female's attitude changed in the last 20 years. I mean, scary. And I have 4 daughters. I don't think none of them be gang members though. They'll be sore if they are. Okay, Bloods and Crips, just another group, Folk Nation, People Nation. The signatures, the signs that you'll see, MS-13, I'm going to go through 18th Street, Locos Locos, just different, those are just different Hispanic gangs. Very proud of what they're doing. They want to show you, they'll let you take pictures of them. You know, not as much no more as you used to, but a few years ago, you want to stand against the wall and you take a picture of them, oh, they broke by, boom, boom, boom. They all happy. That was before the gangs still became a hot word. Now they try to cover it up a little bit more now. They won't just flamboyant about it. I'm not going to talk too much about El Salvador. I'm sure y'all probably MS-13 to death if you've been paying any attention. But like I said, it came from MS-13, from El Salvador, and it was in the Civil War. And that's when he's talking about being brought up in a cycle of violence. You know, these guys are in the war at 13, 14 years old. All of a sudden they come to the United States, and here's your little suburban kids out here trying to, y'all used to pushing and shoving your kid, and they were used to killing somebody. You know, they grew up hard. They don't know all that play stuff. You know, if you disrespect them, they're gonna handle their business. And most of the real true gang members are gonna be like that. You disrespect them at a club, you disrespect them at the mall, they don't care where you disrespect them at. Expect retaliation soon. And like, it's funny, I went to a gang conference in Baltimore, and there was guys from North Carolina crying about Fairfax County. They said MS-13. They said MS-13 went from Los Angeles to Fairfax County and then spread north and south. And these guys were complaining about Fairfax County because from there,